A president who trusts no one follows his own cook into the shadows and uncovers a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of power. What Ibrahim Traoré discovers that night will force him to choose between exposing the truth and protecting those he loves. By morning, nothing in Burkina Faso will ever be the same. Before we dive in, what time are you listening and where are you from? Drop a comment below and tell me. Please like and subscribe to join the Ibrahim Traoré family. The new cook arrives at the presidential residence on a Tuesday morning. Ibrahim Traoré watches from his office window as the man carries supplies through the back entrance. Something about the way he moves feels rehearsed, too careful, like someone performing a role. Ibrahim returns to his desk, but the feeling stays with him. He has survived this long by trusting his instincts. The cook was recommended by someone in the administration, a name he cannot quite remember now, and that detail suddenly matters. That evening, Ibrahim eats the meal prepared for him. The taste is fine, nothing unusual, but he notices the cook watching him from the kitchen doorway. Their eyes meet for half a second before the man looks away. Ibrahim sets down his fork and calls for his security chief. The background check comes back clean. The cook has worked in government facilities before, has references, has a family in Ouagadougou. Everything appears normal on paper. But Ibrahim knows that the best deceptions always look normal. He decides to watch the cook himself. For 3 days, Ibrahim observes from a distance. The man arrives on time, prepares meals, speaks little to the other staff. He follows every protocol perfectly, almost too perfectly. On the 4th night, something changes. The cook finishes his shift but does not leave through the main gate. Instead, he walks toward the service exit on the east side of the compound. Ibrahim follows, keeping to the shadows, his training as a soldier returning to him like muscle memory. The cook stops at a storage building near the fence. He looks around, then unlocks a door that should not be accessible to kitchen staff. Ibrahim moves closer, silent, watching as the man disappears inside. Minutes pass. Ibrahim waits, his hand resting near his sidearm. When the cook emerges, he is carrying something small, wrapped in cloth. He locks the door behind him and walks quickly toward the gate. Ibrahim does not confront him. Not yet. He needs to know where this leads. He signals to his driver, and they follow the cook's vehicle at a distance through the streets of Ouagadougou. The city is quiet at this hour, streetlights casting long shadows across empty roads. The cook drives to a neighborhood in the eastern district. Not wealthy, not poor, just ordinary. He parks outside a house with a red door and goes inside. Ibrahim instructs his driver to circle the block while he watches from across the street. Through a window, he sees figures moving. 3, maybe 4 people. The cook unwraps what he carried from the presidential residence. Even from this distance, Ibrahim recognizes the shape. Documents. Files that should be locked in secure offices. His stomach tightens. This is not about food or routine kitchen work. This is espionage, information theft, something systematic. The cook is an access point, someone placed deliberately to move materials out of the compound. Ibrahim photographs the house, the vehicle, everything he can capture in the darkness. Then he returns to the presidential residence. He does not sleep that night. Instead, he sits in his office with the Burkina Faso flag hanging behind him and considers his next move. In the morning, he orders a quiet investigation. Not through official channels, not yet. He assigns 3 people he trusts completely to trace the cook's history, his connections, his bank records. He tells them to report only to him. The results come back in 2 days. The cook's references were fabricated. His previous employment at government facilities cannot be verified. The family he claims to have in Ouagadougou does not exist at that address. Everything about his identity is a construction. But the most disturbing discovery is the money. Large deposits into an account under a different name, traced back to a shell company registered in a neighboring country. Someone is paying him well for whatever he is stealing from the presidential residence. Ibrahim knows he must act carefully. If he arrests the cook now, whoever is behind this operation will simply disappear. He needs to follow the chain higher, to find out who is receiving the stolen information and why. He makes a decision that surprises even his closest advisors. He allows the cook to continue working. He plants false documents in accessible locations, carefully designed to mislead anyone analyzing them. He turns his own residence into a trap. That night, Ibrahim again follows the cook. This time, the man drives to a different location, a warehouse on the outskirts of the city near Kubri. Ibrahim parks far back and approaches on foot. The warehouse looks abandoned, but light seeps through cracks in the walls. He moves to a window and peers inside. What he sees makes his blood run cold. Maps of government buildings spread across tables. Photographs of security rotations. Detailed schedules of ministerial movements. This is not simple information gathering. This is preparation for something much worse. The cook meets with two others inside the warehouse. Ibrahim cannot hear their conversation, but he records everything with his phone. The men review documents, point at maps, make notes. One of them wears an expensive watch that catches the light. These are not ordinary criminals. Ibrahim retreats before they finish. He needs more than images. He needs names, connections, proof that will hold up when he moves against them. He drives back to the capital, his mind racing through possibilities. The next morning, he orders surveillance on the warehouse. 24 hours, every person who enters or leaves. Meanwhile, he continues his normal routine, attending meetings, reviewing reports, never showing that anything has changed. The cook prepares lunch. Ibrahim eats it without comment, watching the man's hands, looking for any sign of nerves. But the cook remains calm, professional, completely convincing in his role. 3 days later, his surveillance team reports movement at the warehouse. A vehicle arrived before dawn carrying additional people. Ibrahim reviews the footage and recognizes one face immediately. A deputy minister from the Interior Department, someone with access to national security protocols. The scope of the conspiracy becomes clear. This is not external espionage. This is betrayal from within the government itself. People in positions of trust are selling information, undermining security, possibly planning something that could destabilize the entire country. Ibrahim calls a private meeting with his security chief. They speak in a room swept for listening devices, with the Burkina Faso flag visible through the window behind them. He lays out everything he has discovered. The security chief's face darkens with each revelation. They discuss options. A public arrest would cause panic and alert others involved. A quiet disappearance would raise questions. Ibrahim needs something different, something that will expose the entire network at once. He decides to accelerate the timeline. That evening, he places a specific document in the storage building where the cook has been accessing files. It contains false information about a security shipment, valuable equipment supposedly being moved to a military facility in Bobo Dioulasso. The bait is irresistible. If the conspiracy is planning an attack or theft, they will not be able to ignore this opportunity. Ibrahim positions teams along the route described in the false document. Then he waits. 2 nights pass. On the 3rd night, the cook takes the bait. Ibrahim's cameras capture him photographing the false document. Within hours, activity increases at the warehouse. Vehicles arrive, people gather, plans are clearly being made. Ibrahim mobilizes a special unit, soldiers he has personally trained, people whose loyalty has been tested in actual combat. They prepare to move, but Ibrahim holds them back. He wants everyone gathered in one place, the full network exposed before he strikes. The night of the supposed shipment arrives. Ibrahim positions himself with the tactical team outside the warehouse. Inside, through thermal imaging, they count 15 people. More than expected. The conspiracy runs deeper than he thought. But then something happens that changes everything. A convoy of official government vehicles approaches the warehouse. Not civilian cars, not unmarked transport. Official vehicles with ministry plates. Ibrahim's radio crackles. His surveillance team reports the vehicles came from the Ministry of Defense headquarters. Someone very high in the chain of command is directly involved. The conspiracy is not just stealing information. It is preparing a coup. The realization hits Ibrahim like cold water. The maps, the schedules, the security rotations. They are not planning a robbery. They are planning to remove him from power, possibly permanently. The cook was never just gathering intelligence. He was mapping vulnerabilities for an assassination. Ibrahim makes a split-second decision. He orders his team to surround the warehouse, but not to breach yet. He needs to identify everyone inside, especially whoever arrived in those official vehicles. If he moves too soon, others in the conspiracy might escape. Through the thermal cameras, he watches figures gather around a central table. Someone is clearly in command, directing others, pointing at documents. Ibrahim zooms in with a telephoto lens through a high window. The face he sees makes him grip the camera harder. A general, someone who sits in national security meetings, someone who has access to every defense plan in the country. The betrayal runs to the very top of the military command. For a moment, Ibrahim feels the weight of isolation. If generals are involved, who else has been compromised? How deep does this conspiracy reach? Can he even trust the soldiers surrounding the warehouse with him right now? He pushes the doubt away. He chose these men carefully. They have fought beside him, bled beside him. He has to believe in something or the country falls tonight. Ibrahim gives the order. The teams move in simultaneously from 4 directions. Breaching charges blow the warehouse doors open. Soldiers pour inside, weapons raised, shouting commands. The people inside freeze, caught completely off guard. The cook tries to run but is tackled within seconds. The deputy minister raises his hands, his face pale with shock. But the general does not surrender. He reaches for a weapon at his belt. Ibrahim is through the door before the general can draw. They face each other across the warehouse floor, 2 soldiers on opposite sides of a line that should never have been crossed. Ibrahim's weapon remains holstered. He wants this man alive to testify. The general sees he has no escape. Soldiers surround him, their rifles trained on his chest. Slowly, he removes his hand from his weapon and raises both arms. The defeat in his eyes is absolute. Ibrahim orders everyone taken into custody. As they are let out in restraints, he searches the warehouse. What he finds confirms his worst fears. Plans for a coordinated attack on multiple government buildings. Lists of officials to be eliminated. Foreign bank accounts ready to receive payment. This was not just a coup. This was a contract, paid for by outside interests who wanted Burkina Faso destabilized. The cook, the general, the deputy minister, all of them were mercenaries selling out their own country. By morning, the news spreads through official channels. 15 arrests, including high-ranking officials. Evidence of a planned coup. The population wakes to find their country was hours away from chaos. Ibrahim addresses the nation from his office with the Burkina Faso flag behind him. He speaks calmly, laying out the facts without drama. He shows documents, photographs, bank records. The evidence is overwhelming and public. Across Burkina Faso, other conspirators panic. Some flee the country. Others turn themselves in, hoping for mercy. The systems of corruption that enabled the conspiracy begin to crack under pressure. Ibrahim orders a complete security review of all government facilities. Background checks are redone. Access protocols are strengthened. The kitchen staff at the presidential residence is replaced entirely with people whose histories can be completely verified. 3 weeks later, Ibrahim visits a small restaurant in the village of Cumbia. He sits at a simple table and orders food prepared by people who have no idea who he is beyond the soldier uniform he wears. The meal is plain but honest, made without deception. As he eats, he thinks about the cook, about how easily trust can be weaponized, about how the smallest vulnerability can become a gateway for those who want to destroy everything you are trying to build. The conspiracy failed because Ibrahim trusted his instincts and followed a man who seemed too perfect. But he knows there will be others. There will always be those who see his work for the people as a threat to their power. The question is not whether enemies will come. The question is whether he will see them before they strike. Whether he will remain vigilant when vigilance becomes exhausting. Whether he will choose the hard path of verification over the easy comfort of assumption. In the end, a president is only as safe as his willingness to question everything. A nation is only as strong as its refusal to ignore the small signs that something is wrong. And freedom is only preserved by those brave enough to follow suspicious men into dark warehouses. What would you have done if you noticed something wrong, but everyone around you said everything was fine? Would you trust your instincts or accept the comfortable lie? Sometimes the difference between survival and destruction is just one person willing to ask uncomfortable questions. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.